Hey, first grade, I just wanted to hop on and read you guys a quick book. It's called Equal Smequal, and it's talking about things that are equal, which is what you're talking about in math this week. For those of you that haven't seen a video by me before, I'm Mrs. Marsh. I teach first grade at Terrell Elementary, and this book is written by Virginia Kroll. So we're going to read this story about equal. A little brown mouse sat under a leaf watching a school picnic. The children finished eating and began to play. Some played tag. Some chose teams for a game. The two sides have to be equal, one of them shouted. Think about what games you would play with people that you would want your teams to be equal. The children pulled on the ends of a rope. One team was pulled over a line. The other team cheered, "Hooray! We won! We won!" Then one of the teachers called to the children. They all got into a big yellow bus that drove off down the road. So what were they doing? They were playing tug of war, and one of the teams pulled the other team over the line and they won. All was quiet. That looked like fun. Hey, Bear, called Mouse. Come out and play. Bear walked out from the trees. What do you want to play? It's a game, squeaked Mouse. You take one end of the rope and I take the other. We both pull to see who wins. Oh my goodness. Who do you think is gonna win? Of course Bear would win. He's so much bigger. Is that equal? That would not be a fair game. Bear gave the rope a mighty yank. Mouse flew across the field. She landed on the ground with a thump. Hey, said Bear, where did you go? No fair, squeaked Mouse. She picked herself up. I forgot that teams have to be equal. Equal Smequal, said Bear. Suddenly, sharp claws grabbed Mouse. It was Bobcat. Gotcha, he snared. Help, squeaked Mouse. Bear stood up on his hind legs and growled. Let Mouse go right now. Poor little Mouse got grabbed by Bobcat. Bobcat whimpered, I just want to join the game. See, Wolf's right here. He wants to play too. Wolf stepped out into the open. Mouse brushed off her fur. She said in her bravest voice, Of course you guys can play. Everyone can play as long as the teams are equal. Equal Smequal, said Bear. He reached into one of the trash cans and pulled out a half-eaten sandwich. Ew. Rabbit hopped into the field. Can we play too? Rabbit asked. Box Turtle plodded close behind. What does equal mean? He asked. All kinds of animals want to come and join in this game. Do you think they can make an equal team? Equal means fair, explained Mouse. We should divide in two equal teams somehow. Equal Smequal, Bear mumbled with a mouthful of chocolate cake. Let's try meat eaters against plant eaters, said Rabbit. That would be fair. What about Turtle and me? Asked Mouse. We eat anything small enough. Well, said Rabbit, what are your favorite foods? Mouse replied, I like blackberries best. I eat mostly bugs, said Turtle. But my favorite food is dandelions. If you like plants best, you belong on my team, said Rabbit. So it's animals that eat only meat against the rest of us. Do you think that's going to be fair? Do you think that's going to be equal? That doesn't seem like that will work, but let's see. Bobcat laughed. You think this is equal? Ha! With just one hard pull, he and Wolf yanked Mouse, Rabbit, and Turtle across the line. They landed in a heap. That wasn't equal, Turtle complained, peeking out from his shell. Bobcat said, Everyone with fur go to one side. Everyone without fur go to the other. But that left only Turtle on a team. That couldn't be equal. Does anyone know what halves are? Rabbit asked. I've heard the farmer talking about halves. Halves are what you get when you make two groups with the same number, Mouse said. We can make halves because there are 5 of us. Bobcat said, everyone with fur go to one side. Everyone without fur go to the other. But that left only Turtle on a team. That couldn't be equal. Does anyone know what halves are? Rabbit asked. I've heard the farmer talking about halves. Halves are what you get when you make two groups with the same number, Mouse said. We can't make halves because there are 5 of us. Just then, Mouse saw hooves behind a bush. Hey, she said, maybe Deer will want to play. Then we can make halves. One more animal. Think about that. It's a deer. Would that be a big animal or would that be a small animal? And what do they eat? Deer slowly stepped out of the woods. It looks like fun, she said, but I want to keep an eye on Wolf and Bobcat. I'll pull from behind them. The animals lined up, 3 on one side and 3 on the other. They pulled, but once again, Mouse, Rabbit, and Turtle were easily dragged over the line. No fair, complained Rabbit. They're all big, we're all small, so it isn't equal at all. You're right, said Mouse. The numbers are equal, but that doesn't make the teams equal. Equal Smequal, Bear exclaimed, finishing off a piece of pizza. Bear's not really helping in this situation. He's just busy eating and doesn't even pay any attention. He thinks that equal doesn't mean anything, but it does. The animals scowled at each other. Everyone began talking at the same time. It's no fair. You're so much bigger. You're just mad because you lost. You don't care if the teams are equal as long as you win. Mouse sat by herself and tried to think of a new idea. She tapped a tiny foot and twirled a wiry whisker. Listen, said Mouse. Listen up, she said louder. I have an idea. The animals stopped fighting. Well, asked Bobcat, what's your great idea? I thought that instead of equal numbers, she explained, our teams could have equal weights. We could use the seesaw to figure it out. The seesaw is kind of like the balance scale that you're going to be using. Phew! Bless you. Look, said Mouse. When what's on one side of the seesaw is equal to what's on the other side, the seesaw balances. You can tell because it's straight across. Okay, said Turtle. Let me go on first, since I can't jump. He walked onto the end of the seesaw, touching the ground. I'll get on the other side, Wolf said. Wolf jumped onto the center of the seesaw and made his way to the end. Turtle was lifted high into the air. He looked down the long way to the ground and tried not to be scared. Poor Turtle. He's used to being very close to the ground. He probably was really frightened. So that means that Wolf is heavier than Turtle. So they're not equal, are they? Deer got up on Turtle's side. Their side sank down and Wolf rose up in the air. I'm next, shouted Bobcat. He got onto Wolf's side, but Wolf and Bobcat together were still up in the air. With a mighty hop, Rabbit landed in front of Bobcat. Now the seesaw was almost balanced. Come on, shouted Rabbit. You're the last one, Mouse. Mouse scampered up next to the deer. The seesaw teetered back and forth before resting perfectly straight across. The teams were balanced. That's the perfect weight on each side. Mouse made all the difference, didn't she? We did it! We're equal, Mouse squeaked. Then Bear looked up from his crumbs and ran over, roaring, Wait for me! He jumped on and down went his side of the seesaw with a bump. Deer Mouse and Turtle went flying into the air. "Oops," said Bear. "I guess it's not equal anymore." Bear hadn't been paying attention that whole time, and then he jumped in and caused a big problem. He's way bigger than anybody else that's participating. That's not fair. "We can get this right," Mouse said cheerfully. "Let's try again. Bear, get on first." Bear sat on one end with the other end high in the air. Bobcat offered to get on the high side first. "If I fall, I'll land on my feet. Cats always do." The rest of the animals got on. Each one made Bear's side lift just a little. Finally, the animals were on except Mouse. "Come on," shouted Rabbit. "We're almost equal." Mouse jumped onto the middle of the seesaw. Bear's side was higher, so she walked toward him. The seesaw was perfectly balanced. So this time, Mouse was able to go to the other end where there was just one animal, and she made the whole thing balance. Just her tiny little bit of weight. They jumped off one by one and picked up the rope. Bear and Mouse were on one side of the line, and all the other animals were on the other. "Okay," said Mouse. "Now the teams have equal weight. Whichever team pulls the other across this line wins." Bear and Mouse pulled. Turtle, Rabbit, Bobcat, Wolf, and Deer pulled back. "I'm bigger than all of you," said Bear. "I'll win." "Come on," said Rabbit to her teammates. "There are more of us. Pull harder." They pulled and tugged, but neither team moved an inch. "What if no one can win?" asked Rabbit. Do you think that's possible? Do you think it's possible to tie when you're doing a tug of war? I guess maybe it ends up being the team that doesn't tire out as quickly. It'd be the team that still has energy. Suddenly they heard a loud buzzing overhead. "Bees!" shouted Bear. "There must be honey nearby." He took one paw off the rope to point at the swarm of bees. Just then the other team gave a mighty pull, and Bear stepped over the line. "Hooray!" said Rabbit. "We won! We won!" "But the teams were equal," said Deer. "How did we win?" "What really matters is equal effort," said Mouse. "When we all pulled our hardest, the effort was equal. That's why no one could win. But when Bear saw the bees, he forgot to pull. The effort wasn't equal anymore." So Bear got distracted, and what happened? He kind of forgot about what was important with his team, and he lost his focus. "Equal Smequal," said Bear. "I want some honey." Mouse laughed. "Time for a honey break," she said. The animals followed the bees to their hive in a tree. There was more than enough honey for everyone, and they shared it equally. That is awesome. So they were friends, and they were kind enough to share equally with each other. That was a great story. Now, at the very back of the story, they gave us some information about what is equal. It says what it means to be equal. In math, to be equal means to have parts that are the same in weight. So like on the seesaw, it has to weigh the same for it to balance, or the balance scale. To be equal might be in size, like if you're needing to pack boxes and you need large boxes. If they're the same size, then they would be equal. A large box, they would be equal if they were both large boxes the same size. Quantity, if I had 4 cookies and I wanted to share with a friend, I would have 2 cookies and they would have 2 cookies, and so we would be equal. And there are other measures that you could use as well. In art, equal means symmetrical. That just means that you can draw a line through the middle of the picture and one half looks just the same as the other half. In law, equal means having the same opportunities, the same rights, and the same privileges. In team sports, the teams have equal numbers. All the players must give their best effort in order to have the best chance of winning. And remember in this story, when the teams were both pulling and both participating and giving their best effort, they couldn't pull the other team over the line because they were both equal. They were giving the same amount of effort. But the minute that Bear quit giving his best effort, he got pulled over the line because he wasn't giving his best and they weren't equal anymore. So the effort had changed. I hope you guys enjoyed this book. This was the first time for me to read it. I'd never read this book before, but I thought it was a lot of fun, and it was cool to tie it into our math lesson for this week. So I hope you guys are going to enjoy the week that you spend learning about balanced equations and how to make that balance scale level out, or if you think about it as a seesaw, how you can make that balance on both sides by making the sides equal. Thanks a lot. Have a good day.